One of the craziest stories we've seen in football over the last few years is one that we still don't fully know the truth behind. Su'a Cravens was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school, was an All-American at USC, and was drafted by the Washington Redskins in the second round of the 2016 NFL Draft. And he was finally about to live out his NFL dream. Then, what transpired between him and the Washington Redskins organization is a mystery that we still don't really know the full truth to. Su'a Cravens claims that the Redskins forced him out of football and essentially made him retire. But the organization has come out and said none of that is true, and he essentially faked the severity of his injuries. So, did the Washington Redskins really end Su'a Cravens' career? Or is there more to the story that we just don't know? Get ready, because this video is about to get pretty crazy. Before we get to the video today, make sure to click that subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel and love college football content. Also, by the way, before we get started, a lot of the information in this video comes from an incredible Sports Illustrated article back in 2018. It was written by Kalen Kaler. Now let's get started. We're going to take this all the way back to his high school days when Su'a Cravens was one of the top recruits in the entire country. Cravens initially attended Temecula Valley High School as a freshman in 2009, but he then decided to transfer to Vista Murrieta High School as a sophomore. In his first season there, Cravens racked up 90 tackles with 8 sacks, 5 fumble recoveries, and 3 forced fumbles. Here in Max Prep's sophomore All-American second team, Cal High Sports All-State sophomore first team, and All-Southwestern League first team honors. In his junior year in 2011, Cravens played linebacker and defensive back on defense, as well as running back and wide receiver on offense. He was Max Prep's All-American first team, ESPNHS.com All-American second team, Max Prep's junior All-American first team. For the year, he had 98 tackles, 11 sacks, 3 interceptions, 6 pass deflections, 1 fumble recovery, and 4 forced fumbles on defense, while also catching 20 passes for 240 yards with 4 touchdowns on offense, while also running the ball for 700 yards with 15 total touchdowns on offense, leading his team to a 14-0 record while capturing the CIF Inland Division title. His 2012 senior season honors included USA Today All-USA Defensive Player of the Year, Parade All-American, Prep Star All-American Dream Team, and Max Prep's All-American First Team. Cravens racked up 97 tackles, 8 sacks, 3 interceptions, 4 pass deflections, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 forced fumbles, and 3 blocked punts on defense. He also caught 21 passes for 350 yards and ran for 200 yards on 17 carries with 14 total touchdowns on offense, helping lead his team to a 13-1 record. Cravens emerged as one of the top players in the entire country and had tens of offers rolling in. He was a 5-star prospect via Scout.com and Rivals.com and was ranked number 5 and number 8 respectively. ESPNU ranked him number 14 overall with a high grade of 88 on their board. Though Su'a Cravens could have played essentially wherever he wanted, everyone knew where he was going to end up. USC. Cravens was born and raised in Southern California. He was a diehard Trojans fan growing up. His favorite player watching when he was a kid was Reggie Bush. He even publicly said that his mother wanted him to go to USC more than any other school. Then on June 6, 2012, his mother's birthday, he committed to Southern California. USC is doing some great recruiting again this year. I'm very close with the staff and some of the players on the team, and I want to be a part of that. I knew USC was the place for me, and I couldn't pass that up. I literally have talked to the coaching staff 100 times. USC also has a top 10 business school, and that was a big factor. If I wouldn't have chosen USC, I think my mom would have killed me. Though he could play all over, Cravens said that the plan for him was to play safety or linebacker and stay away from the offensive side of the ball. Cravens enrolled at USC in January of 2013 and participated in spring practice, but a knee injury he suffered forced him to sit the majority of the practice out, and it required surgery. Cravens was part of a safety rotation that included seniors Josh Shaw, Demetrius Wright, along with junior Dion Bailey. I didn't come here to sit on the bench. I came to USC to try and get on the field as fast as I can, Cravens said. And he was a man of his word as he started the first game of the season on the road at Hawaii. He made a great first impression as he caught an interception and finished the game with 4 tackles. He'd impressed the rest of the way during his freshman campaign as he finished the 2013 season with 53 tackles, 4 interceptions, 1 pass deflection, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. His biggest game came on November 16th, 2013 as USC hosted 5th-ranked Stanford. Late in the game, Cravens picked off Kevin Hogan off a tip ball. His interception helped set up the game-winning field goal, and SC pulled off the victory. This is what I came to USC for. I didn't come to play cupcakes. I came for big-time games on a big stage. I don't think it gets any bigger than this. After his freshman season, Cravens made the 2013 Sporting News Freshman All-American First Team, Althon Freshman All-American First Team, Phil Steele Freshman Freshman All-American First Team, collegefootballnews.com Freshman All-American First Team, and 247sports.com True Freshman All-American Second Team. He was also an All Pac-12 honorable mention. Heading into 2014, Cravens looked to build off that solid freshman campaign. He wanted to receive First Team All-American honors, along with being a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award, an award presented to the top defensive back in college football. "I'm shooting for the stars," he said. "You won't go anywhere if you don't. I want to be one of those guys. When we need a big play in the secondary, they look to me to make that play." Cravens was asked to play a hybrid strong safety, strong side outside linebacker spot. He started all 13 games for the second consecutive season. His numbers improved as he totaled 68 tackles, including a team-best 17 tackles for loss, more than any defensive back in the entire country. He had 5 sacks, 9 pass deflections, and a team-best 3 interceptions, one of which was a pick 6. His 17 tackles for loss in 2014 were the most by a non-defensive lineman at USC since 2000. Cravens was named to the All-American Third Team by the Associated Press and Althon, 4th Team All-American by Phil Steele, and was a SportsIllustrated.com All-American Honorable Mention, as well as collegefootballnews.com Sophomore All-American First Team. He made the 2014 All Pac-12 First Team, as well as the Althon All Pac-12 First Team, Phil Steele All Pac-12 First Team, and collegesportsmadness.com All Pac-12 First Team. He won USC's Defensive Perimeter Player of the Year award. Against Oregon State in Week 4, he returned an interception 31 yards for a touchdown, and also had a team-best 6 tackles, including 2 tackles for loss with his first career sack to earn the Chuck Bednarik National Defensive Player of the Week honors. There was even more hype surrounding Cravens as he entered his junior campaign. He was a preseason All-American, along with being named to the Butkus watch list. During his third year, Cravens played strong side outside linebacker. He was a semi-finalist for both the Butkus Award and the Bednarik Award. He had yet another outstanding season, finishing with 86 tackles, 8 passes defended, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. Prior to USC's bowl game versus Wisconsin, Cravens announced that he would be foregoing his final season of eligibility at USC and would be entering the 2016 NFL Draft. After considering all the options and looking into the future, I feel it is in my best interest to forego my senior year and declare for the 2016 NFL Draft. Playing in the NFL has been a lifelong dream, and I feel the opportunity at hand is too good to pass up. Here's what his head coach Clay Helton had to say about him declaring. "It's his time. Anytime that you have the opportunity to be a first-round pick with the attributes that he has, not only as a player, to be able to, whether it's be a free safety, a nickel Sam, an inside linebacker, he's going to be a valuable commodity. And like I told him, if you said no, I was going to pack your bags for you." Cravens earned freshman All-American recognition at safety in 2013 and was a 2-time All Pac-12 Conference selection at linebacker. During his 3 seasons, he racked up 207 tackles with 34.5 tackles for loss and 10.5 sacks. He had 16 pass deflections, 9 interceptions, and 4 forced fumbles. Leading up to the draft, Su'a was projected to be a hybrid linebacker safety type player in the NFL. He was receiving a lot of first-round buzz, but a weak combine really hurt his draft stock. Instead of going in the first round, Cravens fell all the way to pick number 53, nearly being taken in the 3rd round. He was selected by the Washington Redskins. Now, Cravens didn't start right away for the Redskins. Through his first 3 games, he did rack up 11 tackles, including an interception with 2 pass deflections. Then, on October 2nd, 2016, against the Cleveland Browns, Cravens made his first start. And it turns out this was the day that slowly started to change everything. While tracking to make a play on running back Isaiah Crowell, his knee went straight into the right side of Cravens' helmet. Crowell slipped the tackle and kept going, but Cravens blacked out. Over the course of his long football career, the 21-year-old had only had 2 previous concussions, one while at high school and one while at USC. However, neither of those 2 were as severe as this one. Cravens lost consciousness. He was able to walk off on the field on his own power, but didn't even remember doing that. The first memory he has of that moment was being in the training room. He didn't even remember leaving the field. Following the NFL's concussion protocol, Cravens had to sit out the next 2 games. During those weeks, he experienced concussion symptoms such as headaches, dizziness, blurred double vision, and he had trouble focusing his eyes and coordinating them to track moving objects. He started wearing prescription glasses to help his vision issues. He shared a video on social media showcasing his new eyeglasses. During a Snapchat video, Cravens said, "Due to my concussion, my eyes have lost the memory to keep track of moving objects, so I have to wear these for the rest of my life. So I had to buy these glasses, and I'll be wearing them for a very long time. Thanks, concussions." One teammate said that the concussions drove Cravens mentally crazy. While at the team facility, Cravens frequently wore sunglasses and kept his hoodie up. His symptoms got better as he returned to the field in week 7. In order to return to the field, Cravens had to pass the NFL's Return to Participation Protocol, a 5-step treatment process that includes the impact test, a computer-based test that is used to compare a player's post-injury results to his baseline results. He was seen and cleared by an independent neurologist who is not affiliated with the team as the protocol requires. On the field, Cravens was just fine, but the second he stepped off the field, it was an entirely different story. When he was home, he'd have panic attacks. He felt alone, hopeless, and afraid. He still had problems with his vision. In addition to the glasses he wore, he had to go get his car windows tinted because the sunlight was too bright and it really hurt his eyes when he was driving. I got treated, so I'm thinking, okay, I must be fine. I passed the impact test. When personal struggles came up, I couldn't deal with them the same way. I thought maybe it was just because I was homesick. I never lived anywhere but California. Maybe this is just what comes with rookie year. Cravens was convinced that these feelings were normal for a 21-year-old rookie in the NFL. He was all in and wanted to be the next star on defense for the Redskins, so he went along with it. He'd played the rest of the season and was still putting up some pretty decent numbers. However, during the opening drive of the Redskins' Week 14 contest against the Eagles, Cravens shed a block and used his right arm to trip up Eagles running back Ryan Matthews on a second down run. He signaled to the bench with his left hand and then made his way to the sideline with an injured right bicep. He would miss the rest of the game. The team originally feared that Cravens had suffered a tear, but MRI results showed that he did not need surgery. In his press conference the Monday after the Eagles game, Redskins coach Jay Gruden called the injury a moderate elbow sprain and said the rookie was day-to-day. Instead, Cravens missed the next 2 games in which Washington split. The Redskins needed a Week 17 victory to keep their playoff hopes alive. Now, with the Redskins needing a win to advance to the playoffs, you would think that Su'a Cravens would definitely play, and you would think he would do whatever it took to make sure he saw the field. Wouldn't you? The team wanted the rookie to get his arm drained to help reduce swelling and move the recovery along, but Su'a Cravens was hesitant to get the procedure to the point where he sought out a second opinion. Teammates were beginning to wonder why he wasn't pushing through the injury to try and play. D'Angelo Hall, who was a teammate with Cravens at the time, remembers talking to trainers and Cravens about the rookie's unexpectedly long absence. He says he told Cravens, "If I can drain this joint to get it done, I'm gonna drain this joint." And he's like, "Well, if we make the playoffs, I'll drain it." And we were like, "Dog, we need you to make the playoffs." Other teammates were telling him to get it drained, including Chris Baker, who was a defensive back on the team at the time. He said that the guys were worried and were wondering what was going on with Cravens and why he didn't want to get it drained. While he didn't witness it, Joe Barry, the team's defensive coordinator that season, says that there was a major altercation between Cravens and the powers that be. Everyone in the building heard about it, Barry said. They said, "Listen, this isn't a major injury, it's a bruise. It's an issue. We can give you a shot to help you with the pain, but this shouldn't be a major deal that you should miss time with. You're fine." And Su'a took offense to that. He got pissed and left. The MMBQ's Albert Breer reported that Cravens missed a treatment that week, and the Washington Post reported that Cravens did not report to the facility for 3 days. Will Compton, who was a linebacker and team captain with the Redskins at the time, said that Cravens went AWOL for a few days. He said that teammates and coaches tried to reach out to him, but nobody was able to get a hold of him. The entire organization was reaching out, but nobody heard anything back. Cravens eventually showed up, but didn't play in the team's final game of the season against the Giants. The Redskins lost, eliminating them from the playoffs. Then, the backlash surrounding Su'a Cravens began to build, along with major controversy surrounding Cravens and the Redskins. The team tried to say that my injury wasn't as bad as it was, and they told newspapers that I decided to sit out the game on my own. It never felt like they wanted me there. They always tried to treat me like I was faking my injuries or something. No one thought he was faking an injury, Will Compton said. "I like Su'a a lot. He means well. He said he tore his bicep. Well, it comes back that he sprained his elbow. He had 4 weeks to get back from the sprained elbow. Guys are out there playing with stuff on their elbow all the time. He didn't make the effort." After a somewhat interesting rookie season, the Redskins coaching staff met to figure out what to do with Cravens for his second year. They agreed that it would be the smart decision to switch Su'a to a safety full-time. Cravens listened and began attending defensive back meetings to get a head start at the position for 2017. In January of 2017, Su'a met with Gruden to discuss some conflicting feelings he was having towards the Redskins. Cravens believed that the team was downplaying the severity of his injury. He also opened up to him about his paranoia and depression. Cravens had doubts about continuing to play football, but he was assured by his coach that he'd be just fine. During the offseason, Cravens got out of DC and went back home to Los Angeles to be with his friends and family. And it wasn't long until they noticed that something was wrong with Cravens. There was a significant change in his personality. Su'a was usually an outgoing and energetic guy, but now all of a sudden he was much more serious and would have anger outbursts. Prior to leaving LA to get ready for training camp, Cravens met with his cousin Jordan Cameron, who spent time in the NFL playing tight end for the Dolphins and the Browns. Cameron had recently retired from the NFL after suffering 4 concussions in 6 seasons. Cravens told his cousin that he wasn't feeling right mentally. Cameron told him that he also dealt with anxiety and depression after his concussion. Cravens said it was Cameron who first suggested he visit Mickey Collins, director of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center Sports Medicine Concussion Program. Collins had helped Cameron recover from the same symptoms Cravens hadn't been able to overcome yet. Cravens was intrigued, but with training camp starting, he didn't have time to set up an appointment in Pittsburgh. During that camp, Cravens' personal life and career started to unravel. A serious incident involving his family was weighing on him. Reports said that the incident involved his father and deeply affected him. After this incident, he met 2 separate times with Coach Gruden to talk about where his head was at and whether or not he wanted to continue to play football. While talking with Gruden, Cravens broke down into tears while explaining he was having a difficult time making football his top priority when he was needed by his family back home in Los Angeles. Supposedly, Gruden told Cravens to fight through it. Cravens said the coach asked him, "What are you going to do outside of football to make money? Your family depends on you. You need to take care of your family financially right now." After he met with Gruden both times, Cravens felt determined to battle through everything going on in his head and keep playing, ensuring he'd be able to support his family financially. Instead, his family decided it was Cravens' best interest if they moved out east to be closer to him. Fortunately, it just wasn't enough. During the Redskins' first preseason game, Su'a tore his meniscus in his right knee. Shortly after the injury, he had surgery on it. While he was rehabbing with the hopes to be ready for week 1, he says he had a different schedule from the rest of the team. On September 2nd, Cravens said he reported at 8 a.m. for rehab and his own workout. The rest of the team had a workout scheduled for 1:30 p.m. Cravens left the facility before then because he didn't think he was expected to attend the team workout. At 1:30 p.m., he received an angry text from Paul Kelly, Washington's director of football operations, letting him know that he would be fined for missing the workout. He texted me, "Who do you think you are? You think you can miss team stuff whenever you want to?" Cravens said that bettling him through a text message, that's what pushed him over the edge. Cravens then sent a text to Chad Englehart, who was Washington's strength coach that was running the 1:30 workout. "You got PK texting my phone. This is the stuff I gotta deal with. I'm tired of this." Later in the day, Cravens was still very upset, so he sent a series of texts to the defensive backs group chat. Josh Norman was hosting players and team staff for a housewarming party that night. Cravens was invited, but decided not to attend. Most of the defensive backs were there, and their phones went off all at once when the text came in from Cravens. According to multiple people who received or saw the text, Cravens called out individual players and thanked them for their specific impact on him. Cravens told them all that he was going to retire. He said that he was ready to deal with his personal and family issues. He told them good luck this year and that they're going to ball out. He then removed himself from the group chat. D'Angelo Hall was shocked. Him and his other teammates thought that it was just some kind of joke, but it wasn't. In addition, Cravens also texted Malcolm Blacken, the director of player development, along with Chad Englehart. He thanked them both for helping him out so much during all of his struggles with his depression and his anxiety. As the text quickly circulated through the party, many of the players were upset with Cravens. This decision made by Cravens was shortly after the 53-man roster was finalized with the league office. They thought that he had just given up on the team. Team president Bruce Allen was at Norman's party and alerted the other team executives of Cravens' texts. Cravens and agent Paul Schaefer claimed that Su'a didn't say he had retired in the group text, but that he was thinking about retiring. He did not file any paperwork with the league or put a press release out or alert the public in any way, but players who received the text recall how they were interpreted. D'Angelo Hall said the text was definitely, "I'm retiring." There was no "I think." It was not, "Hey, I think I might be done, guys." No, it was, "I'm done." The following day, the Redskins organization had to scramble to figure out what they were going to do next. They had just lost the projected starter right after submitting their final roster to the NFL. Then, Cravens came to the facility to speak with the coaches and the executives. During the meeting, Su'a explained to Gruden and Allen about how his anxiety and depression was too overwhelming for him and that his family was his number one priority, not football. During this meeting, Cravens shared with him the personal matters surrounding his father and was promised it would remain a secret. Cravens also told him that he wanted to work a job with less pressure. He wanted to go back to Los Angeles and sell real estate. Washington's team doctor referred him for an appointment in Pittsburgh with Collins, and Gruden told Cravens he had 30 days to figure out whether or not he wanted to rejoin the team and play that season. If Cravens didn't return to the team within 30 days, then they would put him on the reserve left squad list, which would amount to a suspension without pay for the entirety of the season. According to Su'a, he said he didn't receive the full explanation of the exempt left squad designation and came away thinking that Gruden and Allen had been generous in granting him time to get his mind and body right. He left the meeting feeling relieved about the situation and was in a good place. The following day, the Redskins had a press conference in which Gruden failed to mention the fact that the team could place Su'a on the reserve list anytime after the 5 days were up. He's got 4 weeks really to try to get his life in order on and off the field and figure out where his priorities are and what he wants to do. In reality, Cravens had far less time than that. Su'a finally sat down with Collins on September 13th to discuss everything going on with him and everything he had been struggling with over the past year, and everything finally made sense for him. He said Collins told him that there were 6 different types of concussion symptoms. Some patients have just one of the 6 profiles, some have all 6. In Craven's case, he presented at least 3 of the 6 subtypes. After his visit, he said Collins sent a diagnosis letter to the team, summing up the diagnosis. Collins couldn't share the report of the diagnosis, but Pete Schaefer, with Craven's approval, read a portion of Collins' report. Su'a Cravens is experiencing lingering symptoms from a a cerebral concussion. He continues to report symptoms consistent with a concussion, including mental fogginess, headache, ocular fatigue, focus problems, anxiety, stress, panic, irritability, anger, depression, and delayed sleep onset. It is my opinion that participation in contact football is currently contradictive for Su'a Cravens. After the September 13th appointment, Collins sent Cravens off with a folder full of rehab exercises to complete as daily homework before his next visit in a few weeks. Cravens flew from UPMC in Pittsburgh straight home to Los Angeles. The Trojans had a home game that Saturday, and the Redskins were in town to play the Rams on Sunday. Su'a was given a sideline pass to the USC game on Saturday and ran into Doug Williams, the Redskins senior VP of player personnel. He was at the Coliseum scouting players for the game. They both engaged in conversation, but they both have different recollections of what their conversations were. According to Su'a, he said that he told Williams about his recent diagnosis of post-concussion syndrome. Cravens said that whenever he was cleared by Collins to return to the football field, he'd be all in again. He also said that he fully intended to report to camp on Tuesday. "I thought everything was squared away. Doug told me, I understand, it's unfortunate that you got this news, but everything is going to work out. We're going to take care of you." So from that point on, I'm thinking it's all good. Now, according to Williams, none of this is true. He said that Cravens never mentioned anything in regards to the diagnosis or any plans to report back to the team on Tuesday. Here's what he had to say about their conversation. "I asked him how he was doing, and he told me he was getting better. I said, okay, take care of yourself. He said, I just got to get my family and everything straightened up, and I'm going to be all right. But there was no conversation on what his condition was, or him returning, or anything like that." That same Saturday, Cravens' former agent, who is based in LA, met with Eric Schaefer, Washington's senior VP of football operations and general counsel, to let him know that Cravens will be coming back to the facility that Tuesday. Cravens said that he was aware his agent was meeting with Schaefer that weekend. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk reported that Cravens was expected to report to the team that Tuesday. A team source said his agent didn't say that Cravens wanted to return to play football, but that he was going to come back to have a conversation with the team. Then, on Monday, the Redskins placed him on the reserve left squad list, ending his season immediately and preventing him from collecting any of the money he was owed in 2017. Su'a said that he was absolutely blindsided when he first learned of the news. He said that they were completely aware that he would be reporting back on Tuesday. It didn't matter as they put him on the list Monday night. According to a team source, the Redskins claimed that they placed him on the list because nothing he said in LA or at any point since the retirement text led them to believe that he had any intention to playing football for the team again. At 4 p.m. that day, the Redskins released this statement on Cravens. "Today, the Redskins have officially placed Su'a Cravens on the reserve left squad list. In accordance with the NFL Constitution and bylaws, Su'a will not be permitted to return to the club for the remainder of the 2017 NFL season, including the postseason. We sincerely hope that Su'a uses this time away from the club to reflect upon whether or not he'd like to resume his career in the National Football League in 2018. On Tuesday, September 19th, Su'a decided that he would report to the team facility as he planned on doing anyway. When he tried to enter, his key no longer worked. He had been locked out of the facility. He said he was banging on the door for about 20 minutes until someone finally decided to let him in. After entering, Cravens headed straight to Gruden's office and told him he was ready to report. Gruden looked at him and said, "Report for what? You left the team. You're off the team." Cravens said that Kelly pulled him into a meeting with Eric Schaefer. He said, "You're on the exempt list because you left the team. You sprung this on us. We're not screwing you over. You were doing what's best for both parties." Then Cravens said he got escorted out like he broke into the building, like he's just some regular dude who snuck onto the Redskins facility. After Su'a was placed on the list, his agent filed a non-injury grievance against the Redskins for inappropriate placement on the list. In this grievance, he argued that the Redskins knew Cravens would be reporting back on Tuesday, along with the fact that the team knew he had been diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome. After being placed on the list, Cravens wanted to go back home to Los Angeles, but he was advised to remain in Virginia. If he were to go back home and leave, it would look even worse for him. Then it would look like he truly did give up on the team. After the news broke, Su'a would frequently be stopped by fans when out in public. They would call him a quitter, they would say racial things to him, they would essentially just let him have it. It got so bad where it was at the point where Su'a didn't even want to leave his house. He didn't want to go out in public. He hated living in Virginia, and he just wanted to go back home to Los Angeles where he could restart his life. As his life went on, only a few teammates reached out to Cravens to check on him. He heard nothing from Gruden, Williams, Allen, Kelly, or Schaefer. Because he wasn't allowed in the building, he was cut off from his meniscus rehab with team trainers. Cravens and Schaefer say that because he was on the left squad list, he was also cut off from accessing his NFL insurance and had to file through workers' comp coverage. Cravens paid out of his own pocket for his flights and hotels when he went to see Collins in Pittsburgh. Now, according to rumors, this wasn't the first time Cravens ever talked about quitting on his team. While at USC, there were multiple media outlets that reported Cravens had left USC after an incident. After switching positions Redskins going into his sophomore year, he reportedly told teammates he was quitting and even missed some practices. Su'a had admitted that it was true he had his bags packed, but not because he was quitting on the team. He claimed that USC coaches told him to explore transferring if he didn't want to make the position switch. Josh Shaw, an NFL cornerback who was teammates of Cravens at USC, said it was serious enough that Cravens had to petition USC's football leadership committee in order to be allowed to rejoin the team. Shaw says he remembered Cravens missing a few practices during fall camp, after which he apologized to the team. He manned up. He realized that we're his brothers. Nobody really second-guessed it. We understood at the time that he was going through something. Su'a was a dog. In between the white lines, he knew he was going to give everything he had. Keith Hayward was USC's defensive back coach at the time and says he didn't remember Cravens trying to quit, but that he was benched during a practice for being pouty and having a bad attitude about the position switch. He said Cravens' parents came to campus to meet with the coaching staff to discuss the switch to linebacker. Joe Barry, who was Washington's defensive coordinator in 2016, is a USC grad who coached linebackers at his alma mater back in 2010, and he knew Cravens as an area scout. He was a big advocate for drafting him in Washington, but he never heard about the drama at USC. I'm not saying we wouldn't have drafted Su'a, but I think when we had his rookie issues, if we would have known he had similar issues in the past, I think we would have helped us deal with it better or differently. I was, quite frankly, pissed off that the people I know at SC had never shared with me that information during the gathering process. Cravens' lack of motivation carried over into his NFL days, as former teammate DJ Swearinger recalled an incident during his first season in Washington. Swearinger said he heard Cravens say he was done playing during one of the tough days of training camp. He said Cravens said football didn't motivate him, and it was easy to tell he had no desire being out there on the field. Every teammate that was interviewed for the Sports Illustrated story said they didn't notice a difference in Cravens' personality or behavior after his concussion as a rookie. Compton and Hall are both skeptical that post-concussion syndrome is the real reason that Cravens left the Redskins. Most players that were interviewed said they liked Cravens personally and that they got along well with him in the locker room. Here's what D'Angelo Hall had to say. I enjoyed being around Su'a, but he was a little different. Su'a was a tough little nut to crack. I used to always try to talk to him. Hey Su'a, what's wrong? He would never really want to tell you what was wrong. I was one of those guys in the locker room. If anyone had a problem, they could address it with me. I tried to somehow help them out, so it hurt me that I couldn't help him. Still, through all this, teammates were still upset with Su'a, and they were also upset that he still opted not to play in that crucial 2016 season finale. DJ Swearinger was upset at Cravens for another reason. He said he paid Cravens $75,000 for the number 36 jersey, a number in which he had worn at his 3 previous NFL stops and at the University of South Carolina, and was also the number of the late Sean Taylor that he wore during his rookie year in Washington. He said, if you're going to charge me for that number, at least play. I need an explanation on that. Why did you do that if you knew you were just going to quit? The concussion that Cravens suffered during his rookie year is the only documented concussion of his NFL career. Cravens claims that Washington did not entertain the idea that he had a football-related injury when he met with them after learning he was placed on the left squad list. There was no argument, he said. It was just, this is not a football injury. You were cleared by our guys, you sprung this on us, and you walked away. You basically quit. In 2017, Cravens refused to watch NFL games. It brought back bad memories of what could have potentially been. He only watched college football games on Saturdays. Cravens was then removed from the left squad designation and was officially reinstated on February 14th, 2018. Even though Gruden insisted the team would not trade Cravens, it was clear that a fresh start was the best outcome for both parties. Cravens asked to be traded. In mid-March, he was frustrated that a deal had not been made, so he fired his old agent and hired Peter Schaefer to represent him. On March 28th, the Broncos acquired him in a trade for a 5th-round pick. Moments after the trade became official, Cravens posted a video on social media of him gazing out the window while the Disney Aladdin song A Whole New World plays. Cravens said he had no hard feelings towards Gruden and that he would love to go back and play for the Redskins again. Though he said Bruce Allen wouldn't have allowed it because he didn't want him back in that locker room. Regardless, a return was out of the question for some of those teammates. I wouldn't trust him again, DJ Swearinger said. Anybody that steps down from me and my teammates, I'm going to have a hard time accepting you back. I don't care if you're Deion Sanders. If you quit on us, then you quit. D'Angelo Hall had this to say. Someone told me they heard the front office didn't like him, and I'm like, man, the front office loved him. They wanted him out there. I was trying to convince some guys in the locker room. Maybe he's dealing with some stuff. Let it slide. And it was. I don't want him out there with me. It was going to be hard to come back from that. Get back in our locker room. The best thing for him and for us was to move on. Cravens made the team in Denver, and he even saw a good amount of snaps on the field. He appeared in 5 games for the Broncos in 2018, totaling 18 tackles, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 quarterback hit. His time there would be short-lived though, as the Broncos cut him prior to their 2019 season. The Patriots hosted Cravens for a workout, but that went nowhere. As of now, it appears he's likely played the final snap of his NFL career. In August of 2019, Cravens took to Twitter saying he was still fighting the Redskins about what had happened and was standing up for his former teammate Trent Williams, who said that he was misdiagnosed by the team. 2 years later, and I'm still fighting the Skins on on something they've continued to do countless times, which is why the best tackle in the game refuses to play for them now. Same reason I left. Mishandled injuries and withheld info. All evidence points to them being guilty. I will continue to fight this case, and as the Redskins continue to call countless irrelevant witnesses to buy time and hopefully wait me out for their due fate, I will not settle no matter how much the Redskins drag their feet in this. They know they're guilty. During the time I was put on the exempt list, the Redskins went out of their way to cut my insurance off, froze my payments, refused to pay me, and even recoup pay. All for a very real injury that they decided was made up, which is why people fear being hurt in the league. The evidence in court shows your guilty actions. The lies and mixed stories your witnesses provided have all been proven false. Use the CBA rules to your advantage all you want, I will still win. You will not. Then, Cravens was involved in even more drama. Prior to being released by the Broncos, Cravens got into a fight with Denver Nuggets guard Malik Beasley in an apartment lobby. Supposedly, Beasley was heated over a situation involving a mutual female friend and had called out Cravens to settle things once and for all. You can see in the video, Cravens, who was a member of the Broncos at the time, enters the lobby and is immediately confronted by Beasley. One thing quickly leads to another, and fists begin to fly. The two pros trade blows for a minute before Su'a takes Beasley to the ground. Cravens then continued to taunt Beasley and invited him to step outside to continue the fight. Beasley did go outside, but nothing followed. No charges were ever filed, and the situation just went away. However, after the incident, Cravens took to Snapchat and posted this video.
What's good, y'all? I just had to beat it. That just tried me, you feel me? Scratched my face, but I'll up. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my off day riding my bike and shit.
And then this past November, things got really terrifying for Su'a Cravens. He posted these messages to his social media. On Snapchat, he posted, "If these are my last days, I want to say I love you and I always will. God, I leave the rest to you." Then he posted another one with just a black screen that said goodbye with a heart. Cravens then deleted all of his posts on Twitter and Instagram and made his accounts private. Luckily, he ended up being okay, as former teammates tweeted saying he was fine and with family. Now, fast forward about 9 months later, it seems like Su'a Cravens is doing better than he's ever been. He returned to Instagram on April 3rd, posting this message: "Man, the last 4 years have been a roller coaster to say the least. From leaving USC, playing in my nation's capital, to rocking the orange and blue in that mile-high city, to being a father. Man, life is truly crazy and it all happens so fast. But in the end, I'm truly grateful for every experience. It's made me a better man for my daughter. Hope y'all are staying home and staying safe. Much love. Fight on." Now, it looks like Su'a Cravens is the happiest he's ever been. It looks like his daughter is the best thing that's ever happened to him, and by the looks of his social media, he looks to be the happiest he's ever been. And he also provided us an update as to what happened with the whole Redskins situation, along with his thoughts on some potential team names. "I want to especially thank the Washington football players for paying me the money they owed me after this 4-year-long grievance. After being proven guilty, they decided to settle out of court. I mean, it was the least y'all could do for trying to end my career. Shout out to the fans that stayed down and believed ya boy. To those that swore I was lying, I guess that's why Trent dipped on y'all too. Now y'all gotta face them cheerleaders and they cleaned in house. Karma is a bad boy, I tell ya. Go get him, girls." And he also provided his thoughts on the new Washington Redskins name, commenting, "Red Wolves? Y'all didn't like Red Tails?" So all these years later, we still don't really have an idea as to how big of a role post-concussion syndrome led to Cravens leaving the Washington Redskins. Maybe a part of him did grow tired of football and he just didn't love the game anymore. Or maybe there was just a lot going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about and will never know about. And for those of you that don't know, Su'a Cravens was actually the first collegiate player that ever reached out to me and asked me for a highlight tape. Before I started doing these kind of videos, I did thousands of highlight videos, mainly over the last few years, players requesting them from me. And Su'a was the first to reach out back when he was a sophomore at USC. He even reached out via email, which just goes to show how long ago this was. So without Su'a reaching out and asking me for a highlight video, I don't know how my channel would have grown. I don't know if it would have gotten to the point where I'm at now. So in a way, I have Su'a Cravens to thank for all my success. And I will say this, in the few years that I talked with Su'a when he was at USC and the brief time I talked to him when he was in Washington, he was nothing but nice to me. He was always a great guy. Even one time I DM'd him and asked if I could use him as a reference on my resume when I was applying to a job at Fox Sports. And he said, yeah, go for it. So yeah, Su'a's always been nice to me. He's always been a great guy. So I don't care what all these reports say. I don't care what former teammates say. I don't care what these reporters say, because I know the Su'a Cravens that I talked to countless times was a really good guy. So I believe Su'a Cravens is still a really good guy. So there's my 2 cents on the whole situation. But as you guys can see, my prior experience with him, it's heartbreaking hearing what went down, because this is a guy, you know, the first guy that ever reached out to me. I wanted him to succeed, and it looked like with Washington, then he was going to succeed. To say the last 4 years have been an up and down battle for Su'a Cravens is quite the understatement. But whether or not he plays another snap in the NFL again doesn't really matter. What matters is that now he's found his happiness and he's found his peace. He has a daughter that he loves more than anything, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be an incredible father. So it's safe to say, I think Su'a Cravens is going to be just fine.
She's like, get my feet off of whatever this ground is. She didn't make no face?
No, just here. Girl, relax.